sippin', I'm 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 sippin'.
Sippin', I'm 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 sippin'.
This is Sippin' with Sammie. I am Sippin' with Sammie, Sam Malone, Barstool Rug. If you ain't sippin' with Sammie, you ain't sippin' right. Please get your fucking life together. It'll be 2023 already and you wouldn't have had a shot yet. And I am in the art gallery of Stephen C.W. Taylor. What's going on, bro? How you?
I'm doing very well.
Thanks for having us, man.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Now, I appreciate you. Now, I always start with a little background on how I know the person. Stephen is actually somebody that I've known as a cool guy, but as an athlete and a very young man. At one time, we was teenagers. We went to high school together. He played football at Roman and ran track at Roman.
Right.
But a lot has happened since Roman.
A lot.
And you left there before me, so you was on your journey before me. But give a little background on what brings us to the art gallery phase. How do we get here? A little short synopsis.
Short synopsis. I went to school, college, to play football. Did pretty well. Did pretty good at that.
Mm-hmm.
Got hurt my senior season, and that's pretty much kind of when I realized I was smart. You know, like it was. You know, I did well enough to maintain my GPA so I could stay eligible, but you know, it wasn't until some things I had to do in college, and then afterwards, when I moved to DC from Philly to get a job as a youth correctional officer,
Right.
and, you know, I parlayed that into this chance encounter with this girl at the Howard McDonald's, because I would go there every day after work.
I like where this story going.
To get a meal, absolutely, but to also see what's
going on, because it's the mix.
You know, I wound up talking to this girl, and to me, I always say I got lucky because I didn't talk to her friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I talked to her, and her and I's relationship was short, but you know, her stick-to-itiveness with me when I was at a point was like, man, I don't really want to be a youth correctional officer anymore. You know, shout out to my OG Big Ed. He was like, young boy, you too smart to be here.
No, I mean, that is the thing.
Yeah.
No disrespect, but that's the thing sometimes. Yeah.
And if he wouldn't have told me that, I'd have probably stayed there because I was making good money at the jail.
Absolutely.
So I wound up getting a job at one of the largest consulting firms in the world as a data entry, you know, clerk. For Booz Allen Hamilton, you know, through my relationship with this girl and her mom allowing me in for an interview.
Absolutely.
You know, so.
And you did your part.
I couldn't type, dog. I got a data entry position and I couldn't type.
How did you? So this is like nepotism.
I could. Yes.
This is definitely nepotism.
But I had to interview. You know, I did have to interview, and I was very honest. I said, you know, I don't have the skills, but I am absolutely confident in my ability to learn them. And at the potlucks, I can bring napkins and cups, and the lady liked it.
I can pull my weight and I can learn.
The lady liked it, so I wound up getting that job, and within the first 6 months of me not being able to type, I'm this most senior person on this new team called the Assessment Center.
You still can't type?
No, I can type very well now.
No, I mean at this time, 6 months in, you still couldn't type?
Well, I did. I was doing better. You know what I mean? Like, so my first assignment that my boss gave me, which was, you know, this young lady's mom, it was the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog because it hit every key on the keyboard.
On the keyboard, right.
You know, it's not hard for me to work. So I've always had this philosophy that work is work. So I'm at work, so whatever is being required of me, I have to learn how to do. And it's as simple, and it was really kind of as simple as that. So I was able to assimilate into that culture very well. My office mate was reluctant to give me some information, and he knew it. He knew Excel, he knew Outlook, he knew all these things that I was I was a correctional officer. My degree is in criminal justice, and I was a football player.
Right. So
and I graduated college in 2004, so I'm typing still like this. It's not a whole bunch of devices. We not texting and everything. If you got, you know, a phone, a QWERTY keyboard, then maybe you got a little bit of paper. I had that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
No,
So
I'm with you. I ain't much better.
You know, so I parlayed that into really kind of just learning, and within more than just being a the most senior kind of member on the team because my office mate wound up getting fired because he didn't have a degree. He lied, say he had a degree, didn't have a degree. I had a degree, so I didn't actually lie on my job. So the other chick that was that was our colleague, she left, went to another firm, and it was I banged it, and I took off. I accelerated because I learned how to navigate these systems. But my biggest asset was I wasn't afraid to ask questions, and customer service is my biggest skill set. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't mind doing it, especially if you. All right, I do that. All right, I do that. So we was transitioning applications that the company uses for their performance assessments, and we all had to learn it because we kind of all had to train it through the HR teams. 2 different segments of the employee population so that they would be able to do their performance assessments.
Absolutely, right.
So we go into the training with the developer named Shaker Casaro, and I'm wrapping this up.
No, you good.
And he go through the navigation of how to kind of create documents and how to do our job, which is what we now kind of got to learn on this new application.
Right.
And then in that training session, he showed us how to do it. He said, anybody want to try? Nobody raised their hand. I said, I'll do it. And I did it exactly how he did it. He said, kind of after the training, he was like, you could do this.
You was on some drumline shit.
Maybe. You know what I'm saying?
You see somebody did it and just said, all right.
Dang. And from there, I stayed with the firm, for 8 years before I left the first time. And then I went back after a little while for another 7 years, for another 5 years.
They asked you back, or it was time for you to go?
They asked me back.
Of course.
When I left the first time, they asked me back.
That's dope.
When I went back to work. So
15
I did
total?
a really 16
16
years. So I did a really good job, and I parlayed that into a full-fledged senior back-end systems engineer that I can go parlay that into any 6-figure job, corporate job in America right now. And even I'm 40, even in the next 10 years, if I never go back into the corporate sphere and I go back at 50, I can still go back in as like mid to senior level management.
Exactly.
250, 300. So, I was able to really count
Talk heavy, good brother.
Count on my intellect to be able to kind of guide me through, because I learned very early on in the corporate sphere that, I'm not trying to excel through the corporate ladder. I'm just trying to do my job within a certain kind of sense, but also really kind of learn how this stuff works. I'm from Philly. I'm from Chew Avenue. I went to school in Jersey City. Like, I've never really seen affluent black folks, and there's a ton of them in DC.
I know what you mean.
There's a ton of them in DC. Yeah. So
PG right there.
Yeah, exactly. Well, PG, but once you're in the corporate sphere, you just understand that they create all the jobs. The government creates all the jobs. So if you know what you're doing, then you down there. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's on H Street. That's on, like the little small $1 million row houses, So Booz gave me a whole lot within the form of, I was able to learn a lot of stuff there, but at the same time, I took it. And I was the only person that managed financial applications on the back end. They were my thing, some of the financial applications. So, I'm very proud of that, and I parlayed that engineering experience into this. The first time I quit, I found a camera.
Right. So, and then we get to you start taking pictures.
Yeah.
Now, you said a few things that stood out. One is you said, that's when you found out that you were smart.
Yeah, it was.
One thing that I remember about you is you was always smart, bro. And it's funny because I know what you mean. I know that, like, in comparison to possibly your counterparts or other people trying to accomplish similar things, you could grasp things as well or better than they could, things that you probably never even thought you'd be trying to do. And I understand that. I understand that. Yeah. But you also talked about your work ethic and how you take on a job, and there's a lot of similarities to how I treat jobs. You know what I'm saying? And I always get down on mostly younger black guys when you have jobs with them, because we're the first ones to say, "Fuck this job. I don't need this job." This, that, right, third, right. As if nobody's listening.
Yeah.
And if you know, like I know, the motherfucker that's working for the same thing you working for, that's 20 years older than you, that's supporting their grandkids off of it, goes to lunch with the supervisors, and they talk about you. You see what I'm saying?
Because you're bad for business.
Yeah, so don't cut your nose off, spite your face. You might not need it, but hold it till you don't need it. Leave on your own terms type of thing. But I've always thought that if I signed up for it, you're going to pay me a certain amount of time to be here for a certain amount of time, and this is what I got to do to get it, then that's what we doing. Right. You know what I mean? I always felt that way. But do you think that your work ethic came before or from sports?
I was a lazy athlete.
You was a lazy athlete?
I was gifted in my mind. Mm-hmm. You know, like I was.
Shit, if you was lazy, then you was gifted. I remember you as an athlete. I was
good, and you know, I worked hard when I needed to, but I knew I was fast. You know, no matter what, I should be the fastest person on the field right now. You know,
y'all won a chip, right?
Yeah.
We won all the chips that year. That was the year everybody won.
That was the year everybody won a chip.
We got days off of school and shit.
Yeah,
I was like, yo, Catholic school the most corrupt shit in the world. Why they give us a week off for winning shit?
Track team won a chip, you know, and I was a part of a lot of that. You know, and being around, if you're around good athletes, then competition breeds work ethic. You know, in a sense, but you know. My work ethic really kind of came when I knew that I could learn coding. Not coding, but you know, the engineering structure of a back end system. This is what I'm saying. Like I didn't know I was smart until.
It excited you?
Oh, I don't know it. Like if you learn another language, would it excite you?
Yeah.
For me, because I remember,
especially being able to grasp it in a way that I wouldn't have expected to.
The first 2 months, I was like, man, I can't do this stuff. I'm gonna quit. Like I'm like, no, there's no way that I'm.
4 months later, you was running the shop.
No, this is once I got into being a systems engineer. At that point, I'm still a data entry clerk. You know, and to elaborate, if you want me to elaborate more on that story, I'm a data entry clerk, but once we get this system and I really, really grasp it, then I'm kind of training this joint up and down the East Coast. Right. You know, and I'm the point person for this. I know what I'm doing. This is that and the third. But through that, I asked, you know, I started asking some of my mentors, like, you know, what kind of certificate should I get for computers? You know, like where should I go? What should I do? And they was like, dude, you work at a consultant, IT firm.
I was just about to ask you, did it matter at that point? I literally was just about to say, like, ain't we past that?
You know, like, he was like, well, in order for me to be able, because at that point, I'm still a data entry clerk. I'm not an engineer. I'm not even in the employee track to be an engineer. I am in the employee track to be an administrative professional.
But people that type way faster than you are interns.
Oh, who cares about that? So in how you say, like in the HR world, an administrative professional isn't on the same career track as like consultant level employees. So those pay scales are different.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, so they max out at certain kinds of things, and you have to be titled a different thing in order to not be in that thing. You know what I'm saying? So I couldn't keep my same, you know, job title to be able to say, all right, I'm in computers.
So what's the certification for me to move
to all these different kind of to do something in the computer world, even though I don't know what that is? And this is why I'm asking my mentors. This is why I'm going to consult somebody. You know, you know, you always seek good counsel. That's a good thing. You always seek good counsel. Try to at least. You know, so within that, I started asking around to see who I could volunteer for, you know, for whatever the project was. And, you know, another mentor, you know, black lady, she was a former Redskins cheerleader named Cheryl Jones. You know, she asked me to, you know, do this project, and I did this project for her, and I did it really, really well. And she recommended that I interview for a job on this other team that was in the IT sector. You know, that was in the, you know, still within, you know, the internal portion of the company, but, you know, in the IT division of that thing. So, you know, I got in there and I did my thing. And I really did my thing.
But
you know,
something
and that's
else,
when I was I felt like I was gonna quit because I didn't know it and I couldn't do it. You know what I mean? Like, it was very, very foreign. It wasn't the job that I had before.
Right.
And that joint was hard. So I was really proud of myself that I was able to learn that joint.
Bro, I'm sitting here listening to you, and I'm proud of you listening to your journey, and we ain't even get to the gallery
We
yet.
ain't even get to the
But
gallery.
your understanding of what your purpose was in the corporate world is something that a lot of people don't have going into it. They look to it to be everything, and then whatever they do after that to be the other thing. They don't look at it as, you know, their own humanity while they're in it, I guess.
Right.
And I go to a lot of beer festivals. I used to shout out to Philly Beer Scene magazine. I used to hold their table down, so we used to get in free, get the VIP bands and all that cool shit. And one time we was talking to this couple, older white couple, and they standing there, and I forget what they was asking us, but we asked them what they do, and they was like, "Oh, we just quit our corporate jobs and started a new business, this, that, and the third." And they saying it so nonchalant, bro.
Right.
And we like, so you won't mind me asking, what made you quit your corporate job? Because you didn't say you retired, and they older, so it's like you might have been close to retirement. So you obviously you cashed out early or something, right? So I'm like, what made you quit? And they was like, fuck corporate, fuck it. And it was like they were so so angered by it because they didn't go in with the understanding as you, right? So I said, so what do you guys do now? They said, you see these tents? You know them big ass beer festival tents? We rent these. They happy than a motherfucker. You know what I mean? But it's like, this life could be over and you ain't living yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You ain't living yet
Yeah.
because you're on somebody else's hamster wheel treadmill. I like to say treadmill more than hamster wheel because it's. I don't look
at it like that though.
I think a lot of people live like that.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because there's the idea, depending on what generation you came up in, of what you're supposed to do and what that's supposed to provide.
True.
You see what I'm saying? And with them being considerably older than us, they was taught you work somewhere 20, 30 years, it's supposed to take care of you at a certain level that they've seen before they was done. There wasn't going to be that.
Yeah.
And you spoke to ceilings.
World change.
You see what I'm saying? All type of things.
World
And
change,
we all saw people that got boxed out because they say, I could hire 3 people to do what you do.
Yeah.
And you right down the street from getting something out of this. So I don't know, but anyway, just saying that you being a younger man and somebody that you don't come from, you just said where you come from. You don't come from the understanding of it, but you went in with a certain understanding, which made you get the most out of it early on, I believe.
Yeah, I hope so.
And I think that's dope.
That's why I like to think.
And like you say, you still have the options.
Yeah.
You still it ain't go nowhere. The knowledge is your knowledge.
When I went back after the 3 years that I took off, I called it my 3-year sabbatical. You know, I was like, I wasn't. Damn, you know, am I gonna forget the my commands and shit like that? I got got my computer back and that shit was like it did it on its own. So, you know.
Bro, you still a young man. Yeah. We ain't that far going yet.
No, not at all. Not at all. But skills, you know, I done a lot.
You can get rusty though, but I feel like
I've done a lot of things, man. You know, I've done a whole lot of things, and not that you don't remember certain kind of commands, but you know, you need to be able to get to it quick and learn how to do it. And it was muscle memory, almost like I can still get down and get into a starting block. You know, I may not be able to get off. I might pop a hammy on the way out. You know what I mean? But I can still get down, and I can and I still got my form, and I can still do all of those things. So, now I'm understanding as I'm becoming more mature that like them Jones, none of this stuff is going though. Like it's still there. Like
absolutely,
all the stuff is still there, and it's not that it's just still there. Like I'm adding to it. Like it's morphing. Like I'm using all of these things that I've been able to cultivate over the last 20 years, into something that when I was in college, one of my professors said I should probably go be a lawyer. He said you should probably go to law school. So yeah.
I mean, based on your story, if you apply that to just the fact that how you attack challenges, like you could have figured that shit out.
Absolutely.
Too. You see what I'm saying? Like
absolutely.
I don't see that being fetched at all. Not even far fetched. Like that's just it shows you've shown yourself what you're capable of.
I mean, and now I do think I'm a genius. Like I think I'm really really smart. I have a really good grasp of stuff, but I know it's a lot of stuff that I don't know.
Oh, this is something I always wonder, right? Because you said you spoke to something like this earlier. I always looked at some of my friends that didn't necessarily have as much fun as we did. You know what I mean? But they got straight A's or straight A's and B's or whatever. Right. And when I say fun, I mean the kind of fun we were having. Right? And I've always known I was fairly intelligent, and I could, if I apply myself, I could do better at whatever, right? Especially scholastically. But I never wanted to like cut out everything to do that at that level. Right? Like I'm gonna go to college.
But I do want to do these things too.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah, but I want to go out on the weekends. I'm hooping when it's nice out. Like I'm doing these things after school. You know what I mean? I'm doing homework on the subway or the study hall, like so I could do it later. Like I was doing all of them kind of things.
I don't remember homework. I don't remember ever doing homework.
I remember always doing it either in school or on the way to school or some shit.
It's crazy.
It's crazy. I remember when I got the Roman, I found out that they could fail you for not doing homework.
Yes.
Before that, I never did homework. When I got there, they failed me for not doing homework. I'm like, I got all A's and B's in the class. They're like, yeah, but this is 35% of your grade or some shit.
Absolutely. You gotta do your homework. What was harder, Roman or college?
College.
You think so?
Roman was sweet. I came from E&S.
Okay.
And they made me repeat for no reason. And I thought I'm like, all right, maybe I'm missing something. No I get there and I'm like, yo, this shit is dumb. Like, right. I literally just made a lot of money at Roman.
For me, Roman was harder than college. Like that shit Roman was difficult scholastically. At least for me, it was harder for me to keep my GPA. In college, I knew by the time I got to my junior year that all of my criminal justice classes I'm gonna get A's in, so it doesn't matter what I do or anything else. I'll have my GPA to play, and I'll be able to graduate.
I floated through Roman mostly. Like even my fuck ups, I anticipated. Like it was like so dumb. Like my dad used to be pissed. Yeah. But at the same time, it's like life was harder when I got to college. And I couldn't really focus. Like I lost my roommate in college and all of that shit. Damn, so it was a lot of shit going on. But at the same time, coming from E&S, like it was us in Central, and everybody at E&S had friends at Central. And we used to compare our work. And what we came up with during the time that I was there was that E&S work was harder, and Central gave you more work. Mm-hmm. So then going to Roman.
It wasn't that difficult.
And I walked in before I even made the basketball team. They acted like I was a basketball player. Real shit, like
you was tall.
And I was with all the basketball players, and for a while I was on the team.
All the Bulls.
So then they never stopped treating me like that. It never went nowhere. So it was weird. Yeah. That's why I said I learned about the real. But anyway, so now we sitting in a gallery full of your work though. Mm-hmm. Like your John Hancock is on each and every one of these brilliant photos that we have around us from your life experiences, from you getting on planes, boats, trains, and everything else. Because all of this, some of the stuff is remote. Like you don't just get to fly into that.
It's 7 countries in here.
7 countries,
including the United States as a country. So
7 countries.
7. It's Abu Dhabi, Barbados, Bali, Paris, a lot of Kenya. 3 U.S. national parks, and now we're into the United States, and Germantown, and Subway Surfer. Can't see it right here, but it's a young man on the Broad Street subway, and that's our best seller.
Yeah, I saw that joint with the young boy. Yeah, that's a good joint. That's a good joint. So, like, you've been able to like put your life in an art gallery, to a certain extent, like the part that you chose to actually. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I tried to curate this at a point where, I'm trying to both build a business and, select photos for this business amongst a lot of work that I have. I've been to 18 different countries, so I've seen a lot of stuff and I have a lot of photographs.
And you only took the camera to 7 of them?
No,
you only put 7 on.
It's only space for 22 pieces.
So you
21 pieces. So you can't put the entire body of the work. Kenya is almost overrepresented in here because it makes up almost half of the gallery. Mm-hmm. But these are some of my most intimate encounters with the African continent that I wanted to include in my first installation in my own gallery.
Would it rotate based on your mood, or is it a schedule or something? How did you plan? How do you?
Well, a lot of it is budget, you know, because the endeavor itself was very expensive, you know. So
Shit.
you know, as we build the business and you know we're able to garner new revenue, and you know me as the artist that facilitates the space is able to get that you know out there as you know, things that go into different kind of shows, and you know, that I'm more sought after, and being on podcasts, and you know, doing all those kinds of things help with that. You know, just getting the buzz out there that you know, this is the only fine art specific to photography gallery in the city of Philadelphia. One.
Say that.
And in the country, it's the only one that's owned and operated by a black person or a black photographer. And I'll like you know. And I don't even, you know, I don't mean to sound brash, and I'm not trying to like, you know, sound smug.
When did you start?
Sound smug or nothing like that, but you know, sometimes people be like, you know, it can't be, you know, you keep. It can't be, you know, it can't be. So, of this scale, and what I know that is, I came across this at an obscure place. I came across another photographer's gallery by the name of Peter Lick. He's an Australian photographer, and he got galleries in Vegas. I was in Vegas for a tech conference. I would have never gone to Vegas because I have no reason to go to Vegas. I don't gamble. You know what I'm saying?
You don't like heat.
I don't mind the heat. The heat's not a problem.
Some of these pictures was in the heat.
Yeah, the heat's not the problem. Vegas is just a manufactured place in the middle of the desert.
Absolutely.
It's not real. So
you're way too mature, by the way, to just be talking like that. But it is, though.
Yeah,
it's true. But that was way too mature.
that joint is not real. And going there to experience it, you know, it's just that. But the weed is good, you know. And you can get the weed, and you could do everything else. You could walk the strip. So I wound up getting some. Not even cool photos, but I was able to do this conference and you know be amongst my my peers in a certain kind of way that it gave me a different kind of outlook. So after the conference, my daughter and her mom met me out there, and we went to Horseshoe Bend, the Grand Canyon, and Antelope Canyon. But while I was at the conference, in Peter Lick's galleries, he had photos just like this. I had never seen it before. I'm like, no, how's that? That can't be a photo. Like that's not a photograph. It's no way that can be a. So you know,
people give you that now.
Yes. So it's the same reaction I had. Like, you know, what's that printed on, or because how do you say? As a photographer, I'm not going in there like that. I just think they're really decent photos. I'm like, damn, I know they're kind of like, damn, but what, like, how? But I'm in awe. But again, Vegas isn't interesting to me, so I don't gamble. I don't do any of these things.
This gallery
I don't know they exist, so you gotta go downstairs. So if you gamble, you're never going downstairs. After all, you get all the food. I'm on a corporate budget. I'm getting my per diem. I'm eating whatever I want. I'm good money. So I come into these joints, and I went to that joint like 6 times. I went to it like 6 times, and by the end, I'm kind of breaking it down. I'm talking to the salesperson different. They know that I'm not buying nothing by now. And
you coming to steal ideas?
Not steal ideas. By the end of it, I just kind of broke it down. I said that's a file. You know, and my camera produces the same file. And if my camera produces the same file, it's a matter of what is the skill that I need to be able to print this? How do I do that? How do I create this thing? How does that work? And then there came, and that was 2017. And it wasn't at that moment that it happened. It was, I know that exists. So, you know, 2 years later, when I'm saying, oh, I can probably do that, and you know, probably 4 or 5 different countries later, you know, I was like, you know, I can probably do this. You know, I can really probably do this. And in 2019, I got the space, and then COVID happened, and then building delays. So we wound up opening last year in September, Labor Day weekend. So we coming up on our year anniversary. But I was able to bring high-end luxury art gallery to my community, and this is where I'm from, and this is where I plan on staying. And people asking me, am I going to scale, often? And I'm like, I probably won't scale at all. And you got to go to Paris to go to the Louvre, so you got to come to Germantown to see Ubuntu Fine Art.
It's crazy though, because this still falls under black art, and black art is booming right now.
Mm-hmm.
Booming. I'm sure you're aware.
This is absolutely black art.
I'm sure you're aware. But the funny thing about pictures in general, I've never been in this space until today.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen pictures of the space. You've had things here. You've had people here. I've seen different angles of the space.
Right.
I assumed you was up the Ave. I thought you was on Germantown Ave, but I thought you was up. Remember Lucian Crump Art Gallery? Because I actually know his sons.
We
went
do.
to school with them.
Yeah.
You know them?
Mm-hmm.
James and Lucian. Yeah, but I thought you was there.
Right.
And then I rode past there a couple weeks ago. I'm like, oh, that ain't it. Because it's something else now.
Yeah.
But where you're at is actually a dope spot.
This is the former Cunningham Piano showroom. So
Mm.
Cunningham Piano.
They did have the pianos in here.
Used to own both the whole building, the storefronts themselves.
They did have the pianos in here.
This before that, it was a Masonic temple. So this is actually this is a historic space.
I don't remember the Masonic temple. I remember the pianos.
You were alive.
That was before me.
Yes.
Okay.
You were alive. You wouldn't.
All right,
You wouldn't
then I'm
remember
cool.
that.
Because I've been in Germantown for a
And
while.
technically, Cunningham closed.
I took dance classes a block that way
Oh,
when I was a
okay.
kid. Like I've been up and down here for a while.
Damn, dancer,
I mean,
prancer, and dancer.
But
Yeah, man. Like when I was shopping around spaces, I know I wanted something with high ceilings that I could, that I could do something with, but also thinking about music and things like that, and different kind of things that we can do in podcasts, different kind of stuff that we can do in the gallery space that allows for one, for us to make revenue, but two, allows new eyes on the work. So our biggest thing is we want eyes on the work. We want to create new collectors. Every piece in here is a limited edition, 1 of 60. You don't buy anything off the wall. Everything is made to order. It comes with its own certificate of authenticity that goes kind of through what is printed on, the ink that's used, the paper that's used, that is printed on.
Oh, you like pit bulls? Like pit bull puppies?
I mean, pit bull puppies are Rolexes. So
Rolexes too?
when
I like that example better.
Yes,
let's go with Rolexes.
Right, let's go with
Rolexes.
Let's go with Rolexes because these are investments. That pit bull puppy will die. There's no rat.
You just hope to have a few litters first, and then it's an investment.
Yeah, then it's an investment. You can make
Rolex investment.
But that one thing, the initial investment, its bloodline lives on, but not its original. Not the original. The original will die. So
absolutely,
our joints, they come accompanied with the certificate, and both the piece and the certificate have a holographic serial number that they match, and those things go together, and it's tamper proof, and you can't mess with it.
Dope.
So I tried to build as much security within the selling process, so that way, when I'm dead and gone, it can still kind of all be tracked, and it can't be like co-opted or stolen and things like that.
Because you answered my question, because I was going to ask, how do you protect your art and the consumers? So that answers that.
Yeah. So we try to make it really, really, really as official as I know it, and I know a lot of artists don't go through that level of scrutiny. No. To be able to authenticate the work as something, because they're limited editions, and within that limited edition, it got to be 1 of 60.
So these are. But what about NFT work? You on that side too?
Not yet.
Looking into it?
No. Not especially.
Nothing wrong with it. I'm just asking.
So I won't say no. It's
I know a lot of people that
are not rushing. Enough.
A lot of people that's not rushing.
Point taken. Yeah, that's me right there. I know enough about the space that it's no need, especially for me. Maybe other artists, but especially for me. I got 21 NFTs in its own singular space,
which is what I'm.
You know what I'm saying?
Already on.
So once there are more, less work to do, avenues into that space,
Right.
then
It'd be
we don't need to use that to back this.
Right.
You know,
Well, when you said the 60 prints, or what did you call it? What?
limited editions.
Yeah, the limited edition.
limited
So
editions.
when you, that's what made me think of that space. But then at the same time, I'm completely aware of what you're talking about right now.
So how do I try to maintain as much authentic value? You can't NFT a Gucci belt. And this is what I want to create. These are artifacts. These will far outlive our lifetime. The black and white is guaranteed for 300 years. All the color photos are guaranteed for 150 years. And this is based on manufacturer specifications from the ink to the paper.
150.
150. So that these are going to outlive us. And if you consider it as an artifact, no different than anything else that's 100 years old, this building,
Right.
you know,
Absolutely.
you know, anything around here that's
This
100
neighborhood.
that's 100 years old, whether I'm prominent or not in my lifetime, it doesn't matter. It's still an artifact that withstood the test of time, and this
Absolutely.
is through anybody else's collection.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, we getting older and more exposure to different things, and people getting different money, especially people we look up to. I'm getting more into art and the concept of it, and the value and how it grows value based on different things. How people transfer money from overseas by shipping art instead of cash, and all of that type of.
Well, you just
fly shit.
explained NFTs.
All type of fly. But that's what I'm saying. I have a basic understanding. But one thing I always ask people, and when I watch interviews and people ask people that know about art, when they say where do they start, they say start with what you like. Right? Do you agree that that's a thing? Start with what you like, because you kind of never had to be on that side. You got to shoot what you like, and other people.
So I don't shoot. I photograph the atmosphere that I'm in. It's not a like or dislike. It's indifferent. So I'm not. I didn't.
That was so
So that's funny. Like on some real life, like people started calling me an artist, and I didn't know how to take it. I said, I'm the engineer. What are you talking about? I'm not an artist. It wasn't until I kind of opened this, and I'll say over the last kind of like 6 months, I've kind of really kind of leaned into it.
Good thing I ain't come 6 months ago. We'd have argued.
Probably. I've probably been like, get the fuck out of here. I'm an artist. I mean, I'm an engineer, dog. I'm not no. But now I'm kind of more, I'm leaning into it because.
But
that's
most
what
artists got a day job.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And it's not even about day job or
It was a mentality.
or having a job. It's just, engineering is how I built this. This is what it is. And these photographs, I still until recently, they weren't separate from how I view them on my hard drive.
But
you
now,
feel what I'm saying? Like,
if I get a print, if I get this one, right? This changes the whole energy of my room. It might set the color palette for my room.
Yeah, maybe.
Nigga, that's crazy.
Yeah, good.
That's somebody's living space for the. How often
and
do you paint?
it's only $1,200. Not this one.
Right.
Not this one. But the one you order online is only $1,200.
But how often do you even paint your living room? Like, say this is in the living room, right? If this set the palette for, you done set my whole house off.
So, but the thing is,
art.
Is also what art can do is it can set the palette, but it can also blend in and add a different kind
Absolutely.
a different kind of contrast. So you can dress it up, you can dress it down, you can do a lot of different things
Absolutely.
with a piece that has, whether it's a lot of dimensions or a lot of colors or or less.
But
art.
all of these things are based on things that make us comfortable, right?
Yeah.
So.
Hopefully, you know what I mean? Hopefully,
if you go into it with the right outlook, you should be trying to do that.
Exactly.
But like when you really think about that, like that's powerful. That's what art is. Yeah. Like music, no matter how willy-nilly your favorite drill song, because I'm sure you might not have a favorite drill rapper, but maybe you got that one joint that is just when you in that mood it go crazy. Or maybe Young Jeezy or somebody. Like just something that's not necessarily something that you would just dig into, but something that you just enjoy the energy from, right? That person might have took 10, 15 minutes, might have took 15 hours to make that joint, right? Which means that they could have put their all into it or they could care less about it. But what you got out of it, you can still tap into whenever you need it.
Yeah,
that's art. That's art. You see what I'm saying?
Everybody has created a masterpiece in their lifetime. And will.
I like that.
And will.
I like that.
And it's
Where
not
does that come from?
So if you think if you just put it in this basic terms of drawing art, written art, however the case.
I can't draw a straight line with a ruler.
Don't matter.
The ruler moves.
So, at some point in time, you did something artistic on a piece of paper, onto something, onto this. You know, and you don't.
I'm sure that I have, but you said everybody.
Every single person.
I've chased art at points.
Every single person, intentionally or unintentionally, will create or has created what could be considered a masterpiece in some sort of art form in their lifetime. At least that's my belief. And
I think that that's dope because it's the same thing as everybody's gifted in their own way and everybody's special in their own way, but it's more broad than that.
Everybody, I ain't say they're not special, but they might have created a nice piece of art because everybody ain't. Ooh, no.
I mean, even
and gifted is pushing it.
Gifted is pushing
it. A lot of idiots out there. All right,
so but I mean these are philosophies that people go by. These not necessarily things I swear by. So I'm not trying to defend them.
I'm about to say.
I'm sitting here like
I hope I don't sound contradictory.
Well, you're supposed to be honest about your opinion, but I'm not saying it as things that I believe. I'm saying it as like examples of what people say. Right. And I've worked in certain.
That's why so many idiots.
I worked in certain communities though, and you'd be surprised what you can learn from certain motherfuckers, man.
Yeah. But individually, you can learn something from everybody.
Absolutely.
But everybody's an idiot.
Everybody's an idiot.
Yeah. Well, okay. Into my deeper belief. Okay. We're all fucking idiots.
All right.
Absolutely. Every single one of us. The human race is a race of bad individuals.
Well, we only use a small percentage of our brain, right?
When you look at it in the larger scale of the earth itself, all living beings, we don't necessarily consider ourselves as mammals. And this isn't some spiritualistic stuff or anything.
You just said mammals.
And this is what we are. And because we don't consider ourselves like that, we operate through the world, and then we have all this concern about the shit that we ultimately do, which is kill each other, because we are a super violent race. Americans, the most violent.
Absolutely.
This is what we do, and how how the race kind of goes about doing something. America/Europeans have perfected it in such a way, and within America, this is our culture. We have a culture of violence.
This is how we figure things out.
I don't know if it's figuring things out.
I mean, quote unquote, figure things out. That's what we taught at the top.
It might be encoded in our DNA.
We taught it at the top, though. Everything from the bottom follows the top. Right?
So a lot of times, at least from the people that I kind of rock with, who travel and things like that, when you go to these other places, you're able to have a calm that as soon as you hit the airport in whatever city you're coming back to, that joint washes right off, though. And it's not, you ain't talked to them about, you ain't done nothing yet. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So
that's why everybody put up that picture of Welcome to Philadelphia,
and I'll never leave. And this is the most ironic thing, because I'm not going anywhere. I'm not moving to no other country. I'm not moving to no other place.
I was curious.
I'm here. I was not going nowhere. Absolutely not.
How do we get to? All right, we in 7 countries right now, which sounds crazy. But how does one get to travel in 18 countries by 40 years old with a camera in his hand and like comfortability? Like I've seen you eat with native people in different places, and you right in there, and
in the mix.
I'm admiring it, but I don't know if I'm built. And it's a respect thing, huh?
Right, food is food.
I mean, okay, but like, how do you get to the point? Like, was it work that started you traveling at some point? Was these all pleasure trips? Like, how do we get to all of these different countries? Were these places you've been passionate about?
No, I've never.
Because it's random. If you just ran down 7 random spots,
so
bro.
My whole intro to travel is completely done. I've never aspired to go anywhere. I don't care enough.
Bro, I
don't care enough.
I hate to say it, but like, you got a lifetime worth of traveling. Yeah. Like, you could sit in Philly, you could sit here the rest of your life.
I never go anywhere else again. And for the rest of my life, if I did it the right way, I would never have to take another picture.
That's hard. I don't want that for you though.
It's not gonna happen.
But how do we get to just trap? Because that is the thing that created the art that we sit around.
Yeah. So first and foremost,
why is it funny?
Because dog, like, it's just like the quintessential answer is, man, I've been so passionate about that. I wanted to go to.
I want the real answer.
Dog, I never aspired to travel a day in my life. So when I got down, shout out to my man Nehemiah Davis. Neo
Shout out to
DeVito,
Nehemiah.
right? So, you know, as I was starting to get into photography and, you know, take pictures and stuff like that, you know, my man Salim, shout out Whimsical, he introduced me to Neo, and I started kind of documenting Neo through the philanthropic things that he was doing around the city, and he introduced me to traveling. He was like, yo, your cousin work at the airport, see if you can get his registered guest pass. And I was like, what the fuck is that? He's like, yeah, go ahead, holler at him, you know what I'm saying? And I hollered at him, this is my first cousin, like this is my real cousin.
Folks, it ain't like
you
a
know,
reach.
it's not a reach, so I hit him up, and my cousin gave me the pass, and travel is cheap, automatic.
So
And
how
you can
what
go
do you
anywhere
spin
you
the-
want, anytime
What do you
you want.
spin the globe but throw darts? Like, how do you figure out where to
Well,
go?
at first, I'm just rocking with wherever they're going. That don't make me
You
no
still
difference.
following him? You still with him?
I'm still with the travel group now. Like it's a few different people. So if I can go and kind of get my meals paid for and stuff like that, because I'll document stuff. At the same time, I can take photographs.
Yeah.
Of my whatever,
Still there, yeah.
whatever. I'm still there.
Yeah.
Whatever I want to do, and I can just do it for real. Because what I
It's on you.
and at first when it started, I wasn't working. So I had already been
This
to
was
like
during the sabbatical?
This was during the sabbatical.
I love this
So
sabbatical.
you know what I mean. So
Men need
the sabbatical gave me photography, and it introduced me to travel. And within that time,
That was like COVID for you, shit.
yeah, my daughter was born. You know, at
God
the
bless.
towards the end. You know what I'm saying.
Dope.
So I was able to, you know, go from GoPros, because that's what I started my photography journey. I started with GoPros.
Said you bought 3.
So I bought 3.
Why 3?
Because my original concept was I am food frenzy. So for my corporate 6-figure job, I will always eat at some dope restaurants, and I would take pictures. This is in like 2012/13-ish, and I'm taking some like really nice photos.
I bet.
I'm in Philadelphia, but I'm working from home. I'm working remotely. I work 100% remotely. I go, you know, back down to DC/Virginia every so often. Towards the end, I went down maybe every twice a year. You know what I mean?
And you wasn't burning their pocket with nothing.
You know,
They was paying you what they was paying you, and you
yeah,
was going
and I was good, and I was good money. So,
Yeah.
you know, my original concept was to go around the city and get people's food stories from a first person perspective of a GoPro. Because my homeboy in Virginia, shout out Seagull,
As a foodie or a non-foodie, or as a cook or a non-cook, like
as a
what
foodie,
perspective?
as a foodie.
Okay.
Yeah. I like food. Like I
yeah, but
like
some
to eat.
people do and don't consider themselves foodies.
No.
That start.
So now, all right, but bang, that didn't exist then. We talking 2014.
right, I heard. I knew you said the year for it.
Like this wasn't what the concept. So I am food frenzy on the gram, and I am food frenzy eat at different places, and I had a good amount of traction with with that. But I didn't really want to do video, and that's kind of where it started. I got a lot of different interviews.
What you got against video?
It's too long. Take too long. Simple. That's the only reason, because within the video world, you talking rates. Within the rates of getting paid to be able to do video work as a photographer, I can charge the same rates and have a quarter of the amount of work to do. It's a matter. To me, it was a matter of efficiency.
Makes sense.
And being able to do something and not necessarily, you know. So I found out early what I like to do, but at the same time, you know, I'm rocking with a straight GoPro. So I kind of scrapped the food thing altogether. You know, I had logos and everything else.
Traction.
Like, you know, I scrapped the food thing altogether, and I kind of just started taking pictures. One day I had this girl jump into a puddle in Center City, like 17th and Chestnut, and it was like, you know, the Comcast building in the background or whatever, and it's from the water with the GoPro, and I posted the joint on the gram. People like, what is that? Within my demographic, because don't know black people ain't seen that before.
I know what you.
It's never like they don't know what that is. And you know, my man, you know, Rashad Lambert, shout out to my man Rashad, Forbes the Culture. I'll say he founded me, and within that, he did a hashtag search on GoPro on Instagram, and said, "Oh, let's set up a meeting." And within that meeting, he was one of the first persons to really tell me I was hot. Like he's like, "Yo, that's decent. Like
Dope.
you should keep doing that." And me and him still rock. Like,
And this got you to buying a real camera?
To this day, no, absolutely not. I told myself, I'm an engineer. I'm gonna make my motherfucking GoPro do exactly what a DSLR can do. I tried really fucking hard. I tried really hard, and the luxury after a while of having 3 was that I could take one apart, take the fisheye lens out, and put at the time, this is all they had for it, 5.4 millimeter flat lens in that joint. And like this, it was really kind of primitive. So I had to put notches in it in the beginning. So that way I know you got to kind of twist it in to dial in the focus. So you got to look on your phone to make sure that you kind of dialing into what is exact focus on that camera. Then you got to unscrew it, or you got to kind of put a little notch right there, and then you got to unscrew it, put a big notch, so that you know that's always focus.
So like,
as if it gets twisted or something like that.
There's
so,
some engineering ass shit. Like, you know, the camera was fine when they made it,
but it wasn't flat.
No, I'm fucking with you.
You know, it wasn't flat. And at this point I had shot, one of my homeboys let me hold his DSLR starter joint. So I'm starting to get into, you know, DSLRs, and I'm still like, no, I'm gonna make my joint do. I got, you know, Polar Pro filters, cause they had these magnifying glasses that kind of gives the illusion of depth of field, because it's crisp in the middle, and it was perfect for that 5.4 millimeter flat lens. It was crisp in the middle, but it magnified to the edges, which gave an illusion of depth of field. It wasn't it at all, but it kind of like do the joint that do it on Instagram, and it squeezes in to the center so that it's kind of blurry.
That's what I kind of saw when you said
and
that.
I was rocking with that. I was at the Roots Picnic, the first joint I did. Shout out Chill Moody. I was on stage. I was on stage with him, and that was the first time I kind of rocked out with my concert. I was rocking that joint, to me at least, and I got some dope photos. I was able to get some really kind of cool. We on stage, I got the whole crowd and all the way to the other stage. You know what I'm saying? But after the concert or whatever, and I'm just rocking around with the GoPro. I remember doing Action Bronson set, and I had seen Mel D. Cole recently, and I told him about this incident. But I had my GoPro over top of Action Bronson as he dancing on the ground and shit. Mel D. Cole's like, man, you get that fucking toy out of here.
Yo. That's funny.
Still get that fucking toy out of here, and I'll never forget it, because I know
that's when you was like,
that wasn't when, because I was still kind of arrogant and at that point in time, but it was a matter of, okay, for my first travel trip, or anticipating my first travel trip is what changed it for me, because I knew I wasn't going to be able to photograph a certain kind of way, because at this point, and this is why I love the GoPro, I know the machine called a light box, which is a camera. So I know ISO, I know aperture, I know shutter speed, I know how to work this camera. I spent hours in my basement when GoPro came out with the Hero 3 Black Plus, and it was able to do long exposure, and you could shoot raw. So I spent hours in my basement practicing how to do that, you know, how to do these things. So in the gallery, you'll see a lot of long exposure photos, because I really enjoy it. It's what I like to do, because I spent so much time doing it. I spent a lot of time doing it, and I really learned it on those GoPros. But I had to get over my pride and say, you dumb motherfucker. And this is coming from being a software engineer. I said I know I'm supposed to know this. Yeah, I know I can do this, and I was arrogant within that, and I cooled my britches, and I was able to humble myself. And at this point, I'm still meeting people though. So, you know, I'm rocking with Ricky Codio, Ricky on some of our travel trips, and you know, Ricky is my mentor. Shout out to him, dog. Like, as I started getting into, you know, real cameras, Ricky was I call him a guiding light, and it's pun intended, because he taught me light. Like, he really kind of taught me the aspects of all that shit is light. You find it. Yeah. Go find it. Yeah. Go find the light. Go find the light. Go find the light. And within that, I was able to create what I call, I got a style, and that style isn't necessarily a machine that I have. The style is the way I'm able to absorb space. Right. And that's like a very singular thing, kind of like only I can do it. And within absorbing the space, I know how I want to do it in that joint. And the edits be relative, you know, like, some of them
You get what you
edit,
get,
you get
and
what
then
you
you work
get, and
with
that's what it is. So I'm not a perfectionist. I don't try to shoot everything perfect.
Man,
I'm not
listen.
a camera snob or
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like,
so that's why you still feel engineerish.
Like, yeah,
or
like,
felt
I'm not a camera snob at all. You know, I know that within us all, if you pick up a machine and you say, I'm gonna learn this machine.
Right.
If you learn that machine, then you're gonna be able to use it well.
I believe that. I've seen some of the I don't know how to word it, but I've seen a lot of people learn how to do a lot of things that you look at them and you like, you know what? They put the hours in.
Yeah.
I could have figured that out too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now I remember the first time I saw a GoPro, right? I'm in Love Park this years ago. This guy is walking around and he has it on a pole and he's spinning it and he's spinning it and he's spinning it and he walks over to the fountain and he keeps spinning it in and out the water. And I'm like, what the hell is that?
Hot, yo.
And he
that
like,
was fire.
my man like, yo, that's the GoPro. I'm like, and he just throwing it. What's the GoPro? He like, camera. I'm like, you throwing it in the water like that? Like, it's just cool to just be dumping your jaw in the water? He like, yo, that shit gonna look crazy when he, you know what I mean? And I'm like, word. So I was always like hip to that. I started realizing that I watch X Games shit a lot. They be using the GoPro, or they were at that time. Now I got a 360 camera. Similar pole, invisible pole. Now they got the invisible wind on it, so it's like
they've come so far.
It's crazy. Yeah. And I was taking that places originally when I was going to come here. Before I knew if we was going to set a date to pod or not, I was going to pop up and just do the walkthrough with the 360 camera and get you some 360 footage that you could have utilized. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But now that you telling your GoPro story, you make me feel like I would really be picking up a fucking camera soon. And I don't.
Yeah, let's do it. I suggest everybody does. You know.
Well, I was that guy in my family. Like my grandfather bought video cameras since home video cameras came out, and bought every edition as they scaled down in size. Yeah. And then it was always my job. Like weddings,
you the photographer,
all of that. You the videographer, the photographer, whatever. I fucked up my cousin whole wedding footage, the ceremony part, because when her and the bridesmaids and the groomsmen and all them was walking down, she had a bunch of bad girlfriends, but all the groomsmen were squares. So I'm behind the camera and I'm not realizing that it's picking up my voice. And they was like, "You did a great job filming, but we want you to watch it." They turned it up, and I'm like, clown. Dork. Nut.
Going in on him.
They couldn't show nobody that
shit. Ruined the wedding.
But no, I mean, I guess at some point I know I'm gonna wind up with a camera back in my hand. But I've been the one that's been. It's been years of me being followed around with cameras, and it hasn't been planned that way. It's just been that way for quite a while.
How that feel to you? How you like that?
It started off very strange because like I started off with like 2 or 3 people that was trying to get their camera game right. So we would be chilling and I'd be like, yo, I'm gonna go to the bar, get a grub and a beer real quick. And they'd be like, all right, we're gonna go with you. And I'm thinking they hungry. And they would just all follow me to the bar with their cameras. And I'm walking in my neighborhood bar with 3 cameras behind me. Like I'm shooting a reality show.
Superstar.
That stuff starts happening. That's what they start saying.
Superstar.
All of that.
Hollywood.
And mind you, I was in an NFL commercial when we was in high school. Mm-hmm. So I've been had people in my neighborhood calling me superstar. If you remember the Play Football campaign, you know how every year they pick a thing. I was part of the Play Football. I was playing flag football on concrete.
You was one of the kids with the 2 big shirts on?
Probably. Real rap. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I was an actor back then. So I wound up in an NFL commercial. So I've always had dudes that like the couple that peeped it. If you watch the preseason,
it's thespian.
No, not at all.
You're not thespian.
Nah, I took classes and I think I could have been pretty good. I lost my agent at a young age and I didn't trust child agents. She was a friend of my family. Yeah. She had a bad heart. She died after that. I was basketball. Right. It was like that point in my life.
Different interests now.
Yeah, I mean, now I'm in a position where everything come full circle. I do have opportunities to be in a lot of different kind of productions by, just network itself. But like, I think it's certain things, if I would have went a little harder at rapping when I was 12, if I'd have went a little harder at acting when I was 13, 14, you know what I mean? Like, right. But I don't regret any of it because it's all coming to use now. I'm able to use all of it now. Right. Like everything, at least I'm able to teach. you know, and that's an important thing. But having an art gallery that's already too small for your art.
Well, I mean,
You are a young man, and like in my last few years, a lot of things that I've done, I figured out like, oh shit, this probably add to my legacy type of thing. You spoke to like even after you gone, as far as the quality and the sales of your art. How does it feel to know that like the legacy exists? Like you something that you clearly said 18 different ways that you were not focused on has actually shown what you've done in life in one space. Like that's hard.
Yeah, I mean, but it's more than just the pictures. It's the overall impact, at least in my mind. Like, is you know, I want to encourage people to get the bag, but don't starve the hood of intellect, and then don't really do nothing for it because you don't live there. And when you don't live there, by default, you kind of always doing things from a perch, right?
Absolutely.
And you doing stuff down, and I'm not saying that all the stuff ain't good and necessary and cool and dope and all that kind of stuff, but what the hood is really starved of is the intellect that can be tangible role models and examples for somebody to be able to see, oh, that exists. And if that doesn't exist where you from, then where are you pulling into any of your intellect from?
Because you saw that things like this exist, and you were able to put it down the street from where you grew up at.
Exactly, where I still live. You know what I mean? So like that's what I'm saying. I still live there, and
I didn't know if you wanted people to know that, but yeah.
Oh well, well, I mean, this is the cell of the gallery, and I feel you on that. But this is, I mean, I live on Chew Avenue, and,
right.
You know, within living on Chew Avenue, I'm a Germantown resident. Within being a Germantown resident, within the legacy, I'm not leaving. You know, I'm not going anywhere. We owned that house for 50 years.
Absolutely.
You know, my
Shout
mom
out to that.
was the first black family on that specific block of Chew Avenue. It was all Italians around there before.
Yeah, my family was one of the first black, or the first black family on the block, and they was all Jewish.
There you go. So, you know, to me, that's, you know, generational wealth. This is the idea of legacy that I can turn around and put into something that allows me to be, again, the first of something that actually does something that's positive. That's not, you know, I'm not on no nut shit. You know, I rock with people, like I'm cool as shit. You know. Absolutely. So. It don't absolve me from violence. It don't, you know, and I've had bullets come through my window, not intended for me, of course not.
Right.
I ain't in the mix.
Right.
You know, but it's always this idea, at least to me, of, all right, what makes the most sense? Now, I could go and get a crazy mortgage and get a nice house and things like that, but within that, it makes this much harder. You know what I'm saying? And it, you know, it's not the story or the legacy that I want to have, at least while I'm building it.
Yeah,
you know?
but in building, is there expansion? And I don't mean leaving this space. I mean adding other spaces in other places, or in possibly the countries that some of these pictures came from.
So potentially, I was debating on putting one in Africa, but I'm probably not. And there may be another joint that houses other people's work, you know, potentially, again, but still, that'll be another boutique.
Something in the think tank.
Another boutique. But again, I have this philosophy until maybe I'm too ignorant right now to understand that I shouldn't be operating like this, but you gotta go to Paris to go to the Louvre. You gotta come to Germantown and come to my shit.
I'm not mad at that.
You know,
I love,
like,
I'm actually.
That's well, and you know, it's only your shit. Ain't nobody else's there. Fine.
I don't understand. Why that's a thing.
You know,
like, see,
fine.
that's strange to me.
It's variety.
Because
you know,
anything that's
boutique
kind of is where it is.
Exactly.
You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Like, they got sneaker stores that look like bodegas. But then you go in and
Poppy Store Jones,
if they let you in the back,
upstairs,
it's a whole boutique sneaker store back there, and it is what it is. It ain't about who know about it, and enough know about it that come through there.
And as a single artist, and my plan is to only ever have my work here, then I can do a lot of different things.
You could do a lot of, and this is a great
within this space. So
this is a great networking space.
Yeah,
like to have networking events.
Networking events, fundraisers.
Yep.
But within a certain realm, because the hourly rate is $500 an hour, and you gotta provide a certificate of insurance. So
absolutely,
people say, why is it so high? Because you're in my space and it's all my work.
I'm about to say it's art on the wall.
You know what I mean?
Like,
It's art on the wall. It's art on the walls here. So we liken ourselves to something that is more of a museum / gallery. Yeah. But like, you have a museum like experience, and you always talking to the artists. So I'm always here. I'm sure
you are.
I'm not going to always here.
I'm sure you will.
I put a lot of work into this joint. So it's just a matter of keep grinding with it, so people know it and recognize it and understand that even for other artists and for different kind of commercial corridors, that if you infuse something at a really, really high level, it don't have to be like, all right, we're gonna do this for poor people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's going to be understood. At this level. Look at all of the...
Understood.
And I'm not shitting on nobody's business, yo.
No.
Look at the caliber of businesses of everything else in the proximity of me. The majority of them, from Shelton Avenue to Worcester Street, none of them anybody would consider luxury.
Right. Right. But this...
You know what I'm saying? Like this is a luxury space.
This is exactly what it's supposed to be in my eyes. Now, I'm sure it's probably even better than what you expected. But like I said, I've seen pictures and all of that. When I walked there, I was thoroughly impressed with the space. I was impressed with seeing these prints in real life. You know what I mean? Like
it's different. It's different in real life than it is online.
I like it. Yeah, it is.
Yes,
it is.
So
but that's something I was going to ask you too. Like, does social media bring much traction or whatever for you?
Yeah, social media does well. PR, the PR we get does well. The neighborhood supports us really, really well. And just like any business that's been around for a year, you grind it.
Absolutely.
What I mean? We've sold a good amount of pieces, close to 50.
Dope.
So and we have various sizes. Ranging from 12 by 18. Most of those cost $250 all the way up to 48 by 72, and those cost $9,000. So we have a lot of stuff available, and we've sold various ranges of sizes.
I bet
for the first year that we've been in existence. So, but we're a community institution. You know what I'm saying? And within being a community institution, like that institution can get we apply for grants. We want to get all of the arts funding that we kind of can get as an art institution. As you should. And this is what we want to build ourselves as, even though it's only my work, even if I never change the collection.
Absolutely.
Because this place is a place that can create conversation. Right now, what we're doing is conversing. Yesterday, we had a creator panel and a photo walk. Again, creating conversation. People come in here and talk to me like it's the barbershop, real shit, like I'm a barber.
I believe
it. And they just start talking to me about a whole host of various things, man. A lot of it is photography, a lot of different kind of stories, share back and forth. People donate me work, and it's cool to see, because from an artist standpoint, and I'll say that from an artist standpoint, this don't exist in Philadelphia, and from a photography perspective, it don't exist. That's not the concept of how at least most urban people think of photography.
Absolutely.
They're not thinking like that or thinking through it like that. So, for me, it's really a chance to be able to say, okay, all right, other people, this exists. All right, damn, what's that? All right, can you do that here? Yes, that's a commission.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? And within that commission, we work it out contractually. It's still all mine.
Right.
So those get embedded into collections.
Right.
You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So within those collections, we can then already have had the funding to be able to produce more work.
Right.
Because they're expensive.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like it's not cheap to be able to be like, all right, I'm gonna just go take all these Jones down and get a whole bunch of all new homes.
Hell no.
Any photographer, anybody who prints,
Hell
anybody
no.
like that's not a thing. That's a heavy lift. You know, when you budget that into the build out of a whole space, that's different.
Yeah.
Then all right, I'm just we got
swap
pay rent. We gotta pay rent. You know what I mean? Like that rent ain't no joke.
No, it's a real thing. It's a real thing. But like I say, that's part of like the beauty of really seeing it in real time is because, like you said, it's something that people can't even really fathom. Yeah. You don't get to see it often. But now I'm sitting here and I'm like, shit.
And you gotta sit with it. If you sit with it and especially at nighttime when the real light is really on it and no light from outside, like you can see how they sparkle. Like we use metallic paper. Like it's very intentional, very, very, very intentional. Even down to the light to the ceiling, and how I have control of each track, so that independently, we can do different things. So when we do tours, we illuminate with the gallery be dark, and we illuminate pairs at a time. Yeah, and we go have more intimate conversation than just if you would come in on a random. Not Tuesday because we're not open. Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. And
I was about to say, get the hours at the spot. Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, 12 to 6.
Location?
5423 Germantown Avenue.
Yeah, word. Well, brother, once again, thank you for having me in your space. But indeed, congratulations again on the space. I'm thoroughly impressed. I'm sure between one of the 18 countries that you've been to, we could do a whole episode just talking about that experience.
Oh yeah.
But I ain't going nowhere.
Absolutely.
You ain't going nowhere.
Absolutely. Some good Jones.
So we'll be able to catch up later on.
Well, you'll see next time. I'm about to produce this joint for this hotel in Baltimore. And
okay.
So it's kind of going to go into just one particular kind of story. So.
Dope. Well, tell the people how to keep up with you and all of that type of stuff. And
Stephen C.W. Taylor on Instagram, Ubuntu Fine Art on Instagram. That's UBUNTU FINART on Instagram.
And it's a website on there?
Yes, ubuntufa.com.
Word. Well, this has been dope, man. This has been dope. Make sure y'all tap in with
I'm
my
one of
guy.
the popping Jones. They get the algorithm up and get all the good stats and shit. Like I'm trying to get the stats, man.
Oh man,
I'm competing now. What's stats?
I think a lot of people.
What stats?
Once they see the thumbnail of us sitting in this, they go, "What the hell?" And then they go like, "Oh, like." And you said a lot of
6.
You gave a lot of good information and a lot of inspiration actually, because you're so humble about your travel and your experiences that it's like, well, damn, this brother that did all that and did that, that'll make somebody go do something, man. You know what I'm saying?
I'm probably gonna be a curmudgeon when I get older, dog. Nothing impressed me, man. Like real shit, dog.
I feel like you just burn out of stuff, but this is something I don't see you letting go.
No, I'm not letting it go.
And that's the difference.
Absolutely not. My ultimate goal is to create my own paper. Like I'm gonna create my own paper that my stuff is printed on, and everything will be able to come from my hands.
That's like, so ill.
Like I'm going to school for a certificate in surface imaging, so I can hopefully garner the at least requisite fundamental skills that I can use to ask the right questions to go about creating my own paper. So, but I'll have a mastery level certificate in surface imaging once I finish this program.
Dope.
And I know I can kind of do that and get that. So I'll really be able to understand what I'm really understand what I'm doing, and I can.
That's a different level.
Parlay that into maybe like professor level, adjunct work around photography, and hopefully with, those kinds of things, I can, partner and solicit different kind of camera companies so we can get the machinery to even be able to teach photography. So the biggest impediment is the machine. How you teach photography when every machine costs $300 or more?
No bullshit. I like it. I'm on it.
So thank you, man. Appreciate
Thank you, man.
Indeed.
Sippin' with Sammie, Sam Malone, Barstool, Rug. If you ain't sipping with Sammie, you ain't sipping right. Please get your fucking life together, and please get past Ubuntu Fine Art Gallery, man. This is a vibe. It's definitely a vibe.
vibe. We got the calming, the healing vibes in here, man. Healing vibes, bro.
I swear. Woo! HP.
This shit ain't easy
At all.
This shit ain't easy.
No.
I need food on the table.
Yeah.
I need food on the table.
Yeah.
This shit ain't easy.
Nah.
Believe me,
Oh.
I need food on the table.
I swear.
I need food on the table. Ooh, it's hot.
Hot.
Some saying better keep your doors locked.
God damn.
Don't hug the block.
Nah. Nah.
Out of time on the sideline where the niggas watch. Yeah, the cops.
Oh.
Tell them don't shoot up the spot.
No.
Ooh, it's hot.
Nah. Nah.
Some saying better keep your doors locked.
Yeah.
This shit ain't easy.
Yeah.
This shit ain't easy.
Bitch.
I need food on the table.
I swear.
I need food on the table.
Yeah.
This shit ain't easy.
Easy.
Believe me, I need food on the table. I need food on the table.
Get it or get low. You can get hit, yo, because somebody saw your trade, wanted your shit, yo. Gotta watch who you with. They wreck chasing, indirect hating, till they can replace them. Ruger from PH, uptown where I'm stationed. HB said, please believe me, you related. Making more than plates, focused on presentation. Some are saying we coming to jam, no more waiting, nah.
This shit ain't easy.
Yeah,
This shit ain't easy.
bitch.
I need food on the table.
I swear.
I need food on the table.
Yeah,
This shit ain't easy.
easy.
Believe me, I need food on the table. I need food on the table.
I need food on HB. We drunk. Act crazy. We drunk. I swear.